So we are here at CWCBE, Cannabis Business World Conference and Expo in New York. And we are excited to be chatting here with Thomas Sauvageau. All right, so you were on a panel yesterday.
Was.
And I saw some really good information being given about compliance and stuff like that. Can you tell the people what you're doing here at the show and kind of what that panel was about?
Yeah, so the panel was a CPA panel talking a little bit about taxation in the cannabis industry. A lot of interesting things because the cannabis industry, of course, federally isn't recognized. So when it comes to tax write-offs, it's really tough to get tax write-offs, which makes it really tough to get certain things like financing, certain things like tax credits. So I was really appreciative. The panel that was with me had a lot of really good information about the income tax implications of cannabis.
Yeah.
What my role was really talking about ERTC and as it relates to cannabis. Cannabis is a really interesting one when it comes to this. So ERTC program that reimburses employers for payroll that had employees during COVID. So up to 70% of their payroll, gets to be big numbers, that they can get back. Well, the reason why the cannabis industry is such an interesting one is because these employers, typically you're supposed to go back when you get this money. You're going to go back, you're going to amend your income tax return, you're going to pay taxes on it, right? How you're doing that is you're having to reduce your payroll expense on your original return in order to pay taxes on this. Well, cannabis, they couldn't take payroll expense. They couldn't write it off originally. So this money, when it comes to businesses in the cannabis, is really nice because it's tax-free, which is a very, very rare thing that we see because there's really no others, unless you're a nonprofit and didn't pay taxes originally, that are able to take advantage of what this tax credit is tax-free. And this is kind of one we've identified as a loophole. So getting that information out to cannabis owners, yes, they do qualify. This is not an income tax credit. This is a payroll tax credit. Therefore, if they filed their 941 and paid payroll taxes on their payroll, they're going to be eligible to get this. So, and again, it's not necessarily a credit that wipes out taxes.
Yeah.
This is a check that comes from the IRS to the business that pays them for the payroll they've already paid.
That's way better.
Nothing else that they have to do other than get the check and report it. If they did use it, some businesses, they're able to use some cost of goods sold, turn some payroll into cost of goods sold. If they did do that, then yes, you're going to have to reduce that. But that's not a lot.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of businesses that were smart enough, the cannabis industry, to really take full use of what that was, which makes, again, most of this tax-free for the cannabis industry.
So does everybody know about this? Because I feel like it's kind of like the best kept secret, in the industry. And is that why you're here?
Yeah,
to get the word out?
absolutely. So this was my 72nd presentation on the subject. I speak all across the country, love doing this, love education. I come from an education background, teaching at a university. Every day at our office, at least, we get dozens of calls of people that didn't file, didn't know. So there's plenty of businesses out there. One of the biggest objections we get from this is that it was too good to be true.
Yeah.
Right? So if I tell you you've got 5 employees, I tell you, hey, I'm pretty sure that you're going to qualify for $100,000, you're going to look at me like I'm crazy if you don't know me, which is why for us, getting into educational aspects of trusted sources so people understand that we know what we're talking about. Anybody who does a little research online is going to find out that it's accurate and it is something that's there.
Yeah.
The problem is finding a company that does this for you that is following the rules that the IRS actually gives you to follow. So the IRS on this ERTC sending out a lot of blasts lately about fraudulent activity that's happening in ERTC. The thing that stinks about
They'll
it,
try to take advantage.
yeah, and which makes sense because if I had 5 employees and get $100,000, that means if I had 50 employees, I could get $1 million. $1 million is a lot of money to get for somebody, and therefore there were a lot of companies that jumped into ERTC that had nothing to do with accounting. We were a tax firm in the past. These guys jumped into ERTC in order to basically charge people way too much for what they're doing. So the IRS is warning against any business that charges a percentage of what you get back to not work with those businesses. Unfortunately, they're charging 30% sometimes, I hear, and that's just way too much. Our fees have been less than 2%. When you take the total fees, we charge a flat rate, divided by the amount we've got back from clients, over $600 million. About 1.83% is what our fees have worked out to, as compared to the industry standard 15, 25, 30%. There's no reason these companies need to do that. IRS is catching up on it now. Unfortunately, the program has 10 more months before it starts to fade out.
Okay.
1 year after that, it's going to be completely gone. So
if people are like behind on their taxes or something like that, they still have time?
They still have time, yeah.
For last year, even the year before?
Correct. And again, this isn't an income tax credit.
Right.
So it's a payroll tax. So most people have already filed 941s. All it takes for us is to take a look at that 941 in your payroll, We do have to take into consideration PPP, what you got there, 'cause you can't double dip on both. It's been a really fun thing to do because it helps business owners a ton. But it's been unfortunate to see the abuse that kind of goes on in the industry, overcharging, overqualifying. I talked about that a little bit yesterday in the panel, and getting the word out is probably the best thing that we found that helps out.
Anything like this before?
No, and we never will. This is
just unique because
hailed as the largest tax credit in U.S. history. Yeah, I mean the amount of money that actually is coming out and doing this is what has kind of caused the problem with the industry doing what it is that the industry has done. But in good scenarios, I gave the example yesterday of a lady that had a gym over at Washington State, and she had $150,000 saved up for a second gym before COVID hit. COVID hit. She was able to stay in business, but it wiped out that $150,000. Well, what we did, we ended up meeting with her, going through the whole process, filing her ERTC, and when we got done, it was $147,000 that she was getting. She broke into tears, and I have a hard time still. I get chills when I think about being on the phone with her and doing that. It was so much fun to see that and to know that we got to be a part of making the difference and getting her whole again. That was what the program was created for. It wasn't created to put somebody way ahead. It was created to make them whole, given what they went through. And that's totally a great thing, and I doubt we'll probably have an opportunity to do this ever again.
So who did this, right? Like, I mean, not getting political or anything.
Sure.
But who's the one that put this through? Because most of the time, those dirtbags, they're not doing anything for the people. Who actually got this put through?
So this came around during the CARES Act, so early 2020. So not without using the T name.
Yeah.
He was one of the ones behind it, but it was actually kind of interesting. It wasn't until the end of 2020, because this program's been around since PPP came around. But it wasn't very big because business owners had to choose whether to take PPP or ERTC. So most businesses, we knew about PPP. Banks were peddling it, pushing it. Yeah, and it was easy to do and tax-free, great program. But it was a 2.5-month program. So when it ran out, all of a sudden, here it is, summer of 2020, and we're still in COVID. By December of 2020, Congress decided, hey, it's still going on, and it was actually a Consolidated Appropriations Act, so Congress, that passed it, and it was like some rule buried in there that said, hey, by the way, now you can take both PPP and ERTC as long as you're not double dipping, so not using the same payroll for both.
A politician should be taking credit for
it.
They
Absolutely.
take credit for stuff they don't do all the time. So
well, it was definitely,
I did this.
It was snuck into the code that came out at the end of 2020, and as soon as it did, I think a lot of accountants were scratching their head going, is this right? Because if this is right, this is going to be huge. And they ended up finding out, thankfully, we were already doing it prior to that point. So as soon as the code changed, we already knew. And our systems we have like a TurboTax-like system, ERTCfiling.com. So businesses can go online and actually file for themselves. We don't recommend that. We like to walk them through the process of what they do. But we already had the system to do what it was. And then when it expanded to 2021, it was very easy for us to offer more services to basically go through that period. So again, it'll be gone in a year and a half. It'll be one of the best experiences of my life, going through this, helping people. But
in while you can, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, it's really the focus on making sure people are doing this right, so they're not going to come back later and get audited. Our audit rate is 100%. We have yet to have any unsuccessful audit or unsuccessful filing. So everything we've gone through, IRS has checked. We've done a really good job, and we've done over 5,000 filings. So we've done a ton. I would have figured at this point in time we would have made a mistake somewhere. And not that we haven't made mistakes, because we found we make a mistake, but you can go back and fix that and then resend it. I would have found that we made a mistake in what we knew somewhere, and so far we haven't. So that's something I'm proud to say, because there's so many companies and horror stories I hear about people getting overqualified, this not being done right, PPP not taken into consideration, some bad things. So it's nice to do some good.
Great. Okay, so for the people listening, I'm sure a few of them are going to get excited about this. Where can they get a hold of you, and where can they find out more about how maybe they can get some of this money?
So easiest way is to go to our website, ERTCfiling.com. You click on a schedule consultation there. What that is it's just a free consultation. It's a 30-minute phone call. It's to talk with one of our accounting staff. We're in an office. We're not a call center. You're basically calling our accounting office. You're going to talk with somebody for 30 minutes, and they're going to go over the basics of the program, answer any questions you have, ask some basics about your company to see if you do qualify. Did you have employees during COVID? What state were you in, to see if there's any maybe mandate that impacted your business that might qualify you for it. If it looks like you do qualify, still no cost, you schedule a filing appointment. From that filing appointment, we send you out the documents that you need to send us, which is usually 941s, payroll reports. By the end of that hour-long filing meeting, maybe that happens a week later, give you time to get those documents to us, you'll not only know your refund amounts prior to paying us anything, you'll have your forms ready to go and all the steps that you need to do, which is basically sign and mail out the forms. At that point in time, you want to move forward, yes, then you do pay us. It's a flat fee is what you pay us, about $1,000 per quarter, and that's the process that we have. It's wonderful to hear a lot of our business. In fact, most of our business comes from referrals from people that have worked with us because, again, program's too good to be true. So the best source for us are the businesses that work for us. We love when people talk to those businesses because they talk about how easy our process is. And you're not paying anything until you know exactly what you're getting. So it's kind of it's a new no-brainer. Makes it really easy.
No, that's great. And it sounds like you guys are frictionless. People like, things that are simple. They don't want it to be a giant pain in the butt. It sounds like you guys have really optimized the process.
Yeah, that's been the point.
Awesome. Cool. So are there any other events you're going to be going to here?
We, not here in New York. We're heading actually to Las Vegas towards the end of the month, but I think there is a cannabis event in Las Vegas in November.
Okay. The big one.
The big one. I think we're going to be heading there. I think I've got a speaking engagement there, so if somebody wants to come see, I should be down there as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for spending a couple minutes with us. I'm sure people are going to be very enlightened and keep on going out there and helping people get their money.
Yeah, absolutely. We love it.
Awesome. Thanks, Thomas.
Hey, hello, I'm Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. Wait, you didn't think people would know who I am? Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. No, hey, I don't talk like that. You want me to sell this? Buy it. Try Durachill or else. If you want something really nice in your laboratory, buy Durachill. You can't go wrong.
This show was produced by Cannabis Tech Today and Pretty Easy Podcasts. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com now if you're looking to get professional production help on your own podcast at an affordable rate. Pretty Easy Podcasts, making podcasting pretty easy.